Wonderful to be here to start this last, it's not the last, it's just the last one from Europe, but there's plenty of other people. This is all about making things happen, this session. So it's about, we heard a lot of stuff happening, and now we want to get moving. You like the music? Dancing away. I see Joanne is already dancing. And Joanne Olivella is one of those amazing climate activists that knows how to activate. So Joanne, can we ask you to activate us to get started?
All right, Daniel. All right. So my name is Juan from B Spain, but well known as the official cheerleader, from the B network. So, but it's not about me, it's about all of us. So let's do this shake dynamic and let's stand up, everybody. So within the whole day, sitting and our back and legs need stretching, both of them. Let's stretch a little bit. We need it. Oh, I feel so much better now. Yeah, by the way, I'm wearing this amazing shirt and that you can see. Yeah, I see everybody stretching. Good job. And having said that, as Daniel said, let's activate our activism. Let's activate it. And I was inspired so much by the youth at COP25, and I'm going to take this from them. And I'm going to need everybody to follow me and to follow Daniel as well and answer these two questions, please. These two questions. One, what do we want? Two, when do we want it? So Daniel is going to help me. Let's set an example, Daniel. What do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
All right, so let's unmute ourselves. Let's raise our hands up. Let's express our activism, our voice, and our body. So let's do it. Let's unmute ourselves. What do we want?
Climate action!
Now!
When do we want it?
Now!
Again, what do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
All right, and now let's keep moving. Let's bring our legs to our chest while we keep raising our voices. What do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
Again, I can hear you. What do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
All right. We're unstoppable. Great job. Let's keep gaining momentum in the race to net zero, and let's mute ourselves. So Yelit, and Daniel can keep up with this amazing session. So
Fantastic.
the back work to you, Yelis. And then
Joanne, fantastic. Yelis, what a great way to get to action, right? I'm already breathless without having started anything, but I'm ready for action now. So let's go into that. I think we have, what do we have prepared? Yelis, what is going to happen in this next hour?
So Daniel, all day we've been hearing about experts, B Corps, what they're doing and learning from their experiences and perspectives. But at this end of this, wrap up of this day where we had so much insights and learnings, we want to move into how do we take action and how do we take action more collectively? So how can we improve the ways that we are connecting within our community and around our community? And how can we better at finding collective solutions and supporting each other? So that was, I think, I heard it already in various sessions today. I heard it in the session with effective climate communications. I had it in the session with the Scope 3 emissions. People were talking about coming together and raising the power that way. So that will be the takeaway of this session. But just maybe before we really get started with exercises, may I, our audience, our participants in this session, this one is not your regular listen to session. This is a little bit more interactive than that. So we really would love to see your faces and see your gestures and, how you are joining in the session. Your bedrooms could also be our offices. So please show us yourselves by turning on your cameras. But I will pass here, Daniel, to get us started with our first exercises.
Exactly. So during the course of the hour, what we're going to do is let's get into a triad and let's listen to the voices of the people and to other people around you. So get to know some people, what we're here for. The second part is a marketplace. So this is where we really start to say, what do I need and what can I offer? And concretely see where the connections can be made. That will be very active. The third one is more ways to work together, the uniting around coalitions. So United Run Coalitions will see what these coalitions are, how can you be a part of it, and we then have a special focus on the Interdependence Coalition. As you know, B Corp is all about interdependence, so we'll call back a special guest to talk a little bit more about that. And last but not least, we want to give you more opportunities to get to this race to zero as soon as possible. And that's a number of other tools that we have on offer for you. But let's start from you. Let's hear about your needs and your aspirations. We're going to now break out in groups of 3, very intimate, just a few minutes. So 3 minutes for each one of you to kind of share, you know, on a personal level, on a company level, on the influence that you want to have around you. What is it that you are most seeking for? What is it that you would like to offer? What are your aspirations? Because on the one side, we have a number of things that we want and need, but we also have dreams of things that might happen. So those are the 2 questions for you as we move you in little small groups of 3 people, 3 minutes each, sharing what are you looking for most in your race to zero, and what is your highest aspiration, what is your dream, what is your vision going forward. You're amongst friends, so do not worry about what you say, what is happening. Just a few minutes to get this breakout going. And then I'm happy to, I've created the rooms and I can just click on create now if it's okay. There we go. You're all set and ready to go. Let's see who goes where and what happens there. Fantastic. Welcome back, everybody. I know it was too short. I know it was nobody in the room, too many people in the room. That's exactly what life is all about. You know, you enter a place and you think all the right people should be there. Guess what? Life is not like that. Zoom calls, exactly the same. So trust me, that's exactly what should always happen in life. Actually, should not be happening, but let's go. But that's where Google Doc comes to our safety and saves our life. And Elena has found a magical way, incredible, in which we can actually have people share publicly what are those aspirations, what are those needs. Elena is now sharing the screen, and we're going to share in the chat the link to the Google Doc in a second, because what we are creating here is a marketplace. What we are creating here is the opportunity for you to, after this call, see who are the people here, what are people needing, and then we'll see what are people offering. Because guess what? There's people that have needs, but there's also people that have things to offer on the race to zero. So this is where you become the protagonist, and this is where things get exciting. So what we propose to you, Elena, what shall we do in the first session?
Hello, everyone. Shortly, we will share with you this Google document. It's very easy, as Daniel said. Please write your top needs or questions that you need help with to progress your race to zero. As you will see, just write down your name, your company, your email address, if you are fine with that to share. You don't have to, it's optional, and your 3 needs that right now are the most urgent ones. So right now I will share it with you in the chat. And we have about 6 minutes to write down this.
Great to have you here. This marketplace is just booming with needs. What about getting some help? Yeah, it's very easy. Oh, I need help, I need help, I need help. Guess what? People here can actually offer solutions as well. So, Elena, what happens next in your magic semi-automatic Google template?
So in the same document, just scroll down, and now you will see how you can actually help the others, how you can offer or what you are actually offering. So again, we will have probably 5 minutes to fill it out.
So where are you strong on climate? Where can your company help others on climate? There's so much that you can give, and then the matching will be made as if by magic after this. Remember, this deck will be open and available to you. We warmly encourage you to create an interaction. And from B Lab Europe, we will definitely like to just share this later to everybody else. So this does not stop here, Yelitz.
I would like to invite our first guest for in this session, who is Marie-Charlotte Monteau from Davines. She is Sustainability and Transparency Senior Specialist at Davines. Can we get Marie-Charlotte on this virtual stage as well? Welcome, Marie-Charlotte. Thank you so much for joining the session.
Hi everyone.
It's always a pleasure connecting with you, and it's been my pleasure at times where we connected, and I'm really happy that now we can discuss about the B Corp Beauty Coalition and the work that you've been, the exemplary work that you've been doing in the witnessing of others with the intention to inspire those others who are with us today. Is after this session, Marie-Charlotte, we will be going into an exercise where we will try to create a number of coalitions in different industries. And that's kind of like the hinting to our audience what's coming next. And what we really want to do is that to give that early inspiration to them, how does it look like building a coalition and, you know, like kicking that off. So maybe, do you want to introduce yourself and the B Corp Beauty Coalition in maybe just in a minute?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Yeliz. I'm very excited today to share a bit more about the B Corp Beauty Coalition and myself. So yeah, as Yeliz introduced me, I'm Marie-Charlotte Monteau, work for Davines, which is a B Corp beauty company based in Italy. And we actually had a couple months ago the idea to create the B Corp Beauty Coalition. And I would say that creating a coalition such as the B Corp Beauty Coalition was actually quite a natural next step as a B Corp. Yeah, we have been, let's say, trying to recruit more members to work all together on high-end goals that we could achieve together.
Mm-hmm. Maybe on the start place of the B Corp Beauty Coalition, did you have any specific awareness moment where you were like, you know, we got to start something and start working with others, and maybe some, you know, reflections on how it all started? Sure.
So I will say probably that one of the main trigger have been growing awareness for us of an existing glass ceiling regarding certain highly impactful improvement activities. We quite quickly realized that certain tasks or certain activities were really nearly impossible for a company such as ours, but we could not make it happen by ourselves. So particularly this was really an eye-opener moment for us. And right after, we decided not just to sit down and, you know, wait for it, but to talk with other B Corps friends that we have around us and that are working in the same industry. So Browners, Expansions, Herbatine, and etc. And we realized quite soon that we were actually quite on the same page, and that everyone was really willing to was facing, first of all, the same problems, and was really willing to join forces to bring a systemic and durable change to our industry.
That's why B Corp community is so admirable. They spot a problem and they don't just stop, just sit around and wait what to do, who is going to do what about that, but they look for a way to solve it, and usually that's collectively. Thank you so much for sharing on that. I know that you've been since a while working out how to kick this off and how to kick it off in an effective and in effective collaboration, so that this is really, you know, well structured and it's long term, and there's focus and outcomes that you can achieve at the end. So maybe on the governance aspect a little bit, we can also show the screen share now your invitation letter, which you've very well outlined and have been circulating around. Maybe you can share some reflections around what was understanding governance for you in building this coalition.
Sure. Before the governance, I will say that from the start, we have been really transparent with all members and people that were willing to join the coalition about the objective of the coalition, which is indeed to bring systemic and durable change to the beauty industry at a sustainable level. And so very high-end, obviously, objective. And I will say afterwards that before we really deep diving into the governance framework, we took some time to really reflect on the organizational aspects, because it was very important for us to clarify what will be the contribution of everyone, the time that to dedicate to the coalition, and the frequency of a meeting. So it seems like really basic, but at the end, if you want to know if you can engage in something, obviously this is important to know the rules. Afterwards, something that was really important was like after defining all together and agreeing on what was the purpose of the coalition and the main objective, let's say, we really deep dive into which will be the topic that we would love to take care of. So we identify 4 main topics that are our 4 main objectives and on which we are going to work all together, which are packaging, the sustainable supply chain, green logistic, and finally, the B Corp positioning and promotion. So which are 4 main topics. Mm-hmm. After discussing all of that, and it was already a great discussion and brainstorming, because obviously everybody was bringing ideas. Obviously, we came for the governance, which is indeed the backbone of the coalition. And so we drafted all together a governance framework. We reflected on the membership fee and stuff like this, even if I have to tell you that for now, nothing is settled because we are going to submit all of structure for voting in September at our first member assembly. And we decided to do this for transparency and I will say to really make sure that it's going to be shared, like a shared decision, and not only based on the preference of the founders, but really of the, let's say, the global movement that we're creating.
Mm-hmm. And I think this learnings that you, with your leadership, that all of our community can learn from now is going to be a great shortcut for those other coalitions that hopefully we will see emerging from this moment on. And actually, just as I hinted, after this exercise, we will have an exercise. After this interview, we will have an exercise to ask who might want to be part of a coalition in a number of industries. So this is kind of like also, exemplifying how to start and how to take steps. Maybe to finish up to those future coalition members, in other industries or in your coalition, what do you think is the power of coalitions, and what should others expect, or how should they see about this?
Mm-hmm. So actually, what really mesmerized me about the B Corp Beauty Coalition that we created all together was how fast we really build up like genuine relationships between the different members. And this even considering that we are competitors, like in some case, direct competitors. And I think what prevailed here is the fact that we were between like-minded people. So we were all talking the same language, and this made us, able to create like trust. And if you have trust, everything is working so like easily. It's real different. And I think this is one of the reasons why we decided to keep for now the coalition only for B Corps, because we know that we speak the same language and we know that we all give the same guarantee. So yeah, I think, and all of this drove to really open exchange of best practices, of experiences, ideas, and all of that really consolidated the coalition to make it something useful for everyone. Obviously, we're still at the initial phase, so I think there's so much more to learn and to build. But if I could give a couple of advices, is to not be afraid of start something, even if everything is not settled and you don't have everything very clear, but start doing something. And I will say, because anyway, you will build it together afterwards, find like-minded people and be clear, be transparent about the objectives since the beginning, just to make sure that everybody's aligned and everybody's on board.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Marie-Charlotte. There's so many common questions that we've witnessed today around climate action, where to start, how to take action on supply chain, how to create the successful campaigns. I'm sure that these industry-based coalitions are going to be an amazing go-to place and a resource for everyone who are a part of it. And we really would like to see the emergence of more of these. I know that you have a session on the day 3 of the Climate Summit as well. So whoever wants to hear more about the B Corp Beauty Coalition and meet the other members of the coalition should go there. What time is it happening?
It's tomorrow, 6 p.m. CST time. And we'll be really talking about the coalition details. So like the purpose, the why, but actually what, so what exactly are we planning to work on? And obviously the next step, if you're willing to join the coalition.
Awesome. Awesome. So find your way to the B Corp Beauty Coalition session tomorrow. Thank you very much, Marie-Charlotte, for this inspiration and sharing your learnings and experience through this coalition. Now, Daniel, we have a number of coalitions to build. And I think this was great start point for everyone to see and understand like why and how they can do that. Do you want to maybe?
Yes, so it's to me, there's two words that really come to mind. What Marie-Charlotte said: the speed at which things work, the trust that's created, and the same language. And I think these three elements is what makes this coalition so powerful. We shared with you the letter that they created, but also now you have an opportunity to choose one or at least one or more of these coalitions. So you get, in a sense, a coalition is where a number of B Corps come together and they work together to accelerate the road to zero, but also to influence what's around them. And Marie-Charlotte mentioned, even amongst competitors, it's amazing what can be created and what is being created. So right now, we will share again the link to a Google Doc where you can express your interest to join one or more of these coalitions. And specifically, there's a question there. So you can either be there as a lead, if you really are keen and want to go forward and want to lead this going forward, or if you want to take part. So your company and yourself being part of one of these coalitions. And Elena just shared the link. So you can now see, maybe just share the screen. And so we can see the actual document. But this is your opportunity to say, put your hand up. This is a kind of coalition that is of interest to me. As you saw, they're very, let's see, that's the first one, Coalition on Beauty. You can join Marie-Charlotte and many others. The second is dedicated to food and agriculture. And that's a very wide and important one, especially for a half Italian who loves food, very important. Then we go Coalition Apparel. Yeah, I forgot, Italians love to dress well. So that's why I put it there, Coalition Apparel. And then the fourth one is Hospitality and Travel, sustainable travel, please. But it's a great way to go forwards. And finance and investment, because without money, it's much more difficult to go forward. And last but not least, what connects us here? Zoom, IT. So IT technology is another coalition that's very interested. So here, and I see Paula has already put her hands up as a participant, as you see in this coalition. Just very quickly say, is one of these coalitions of interest to you and to your company? And it's just very short, have a time to go there. Again, this document is shared, so you can, it will stay live, so you can also go to it later. But it's important that right now, browse through those topics, what calls your interest. Marie-Charlotte, amazing what you're doing with Davines, driving this forward. Tomorrow, great session, must not be missed.
Daniel, I see that there are some questions in the chat regarding some additional industries that like energy, like heavy polluters industries. Please feel free to add additional parts to the document with your information, and we will also include them in as part of these coalitions. We did want to be careful and try to select a few numbers, but the more is the merrier. So if you are from that sector and you are willing to represent, please do add it.
Fantastic. So please go forward. Yeliz, I know of another pretty cool person that knows a thing or two about coalitions. And Elena, I think we're on that slide that shows the a specific coalition. And if any of you is a B Corp, you've signed the letter of interdependence. So that term is very, very important to us. And the Interdependence Coalition is another one that's very, very special to us. Katie announced it just a few hours ago. It's hot off the press. Yeliz. Katie, thank you for coming back. Yeliz, over to you.
Well, this will be sure my pleasure to do this interview with dear Katie. It's so exciting. Today was the day of launch. Congratulations to all of the team. Really working hard to prepare for the launch today. Katie, some of our audience might have joined already the Interdependence Coalition launch session at lunchtime. Some of them might not have. How shall we do it? Shall we directly show the video? Because there is also great video that summarizes, like the whole coalition. And then we have a couple of questions with you.
If you prefer that way, is fine. Yeah, sure. Otherwise, I could just give you a little bit of introduction to before you press play, just so you have just a little bit of context as to what it is that we're doing. And just a big shout out to Maria Correa, who has put this video together with Charlotte Tillman behind the scenes, making all this come to life. So the coalition is really around, it's a policy coalition. We know that actually we have to change the rules of the game if we're going to get all businesses to behave in the way that B Corps do. And we need that because unfortunately we can't actually rely on just voluntary contributions to our existential crises. We have to actually bed that into the obligations of all companies, and it serves them well to do so. So the coalition is to say, let's change the rules of the game across Europe, pan-European level, set a minimum level of expectation so that the interests of all the different contributors to the business's success are considered in the decision-making processes of the company. And this will be aligned with what investors have to think about when they're using their capital. Where should they put their capital? They also have to think about the same criteria of what are the things that really make a difference to society and environment, as well as to their returns. And so the European Commission opened up this opportunity for us to explore what could the rules of corporate governance look like, which was an extraordinary opening of a debate from them. And we, of course, as B Lab, with 60 B Corps, many of whom are on the line, responded and suggested that it should look pretty well like what B Corps do, but that should be mandatory. So now today we've launched this coalition, and so that when the Commission come back with their proposal, we are a collective voice that can say, well, these are the things that really matter to us, and this is what we think should be in that final proposal. There'll be a lot of discussion between European Parliament, between the member states, between the Commission, and so the role for B Corps to play and for anyone in the coalition is to help us make the case for why this has to be the change we need to see if we're going to reach our net zero goals. And so this video hopefully will explain to you how to navigate your way around the website and therefore find a way to join us and be part of the action. So maybe your video could go now. Thank you.
Congratulations once again on the launch, Katie. Obviously today throughout the sessions, we did hear the governance aspect and policy aspect coming up as part of climate action as well, whether be it in, you know, greenwashing and offsetting and carbon neutrality and all the controversies that came about today, you know, after decades of voluntary carbon market. So there are a number of ways that obviously policy can be really a tool for accelerating climate action, and really happy that you are, you know, setting up this collective effort for B Corp community as well. You already highlighted a little bit, but maybe to enter a bit more into this with the key impact that you are trying to make, like what should we expect from this coalition?
Well, the real end goal, and that I think is probably where most coalitions need to start their thinking, is what is it you really want to do together, and probably what is it you can only do together and can't do alone. And for us, it's actually to basically make all companies behave like B Corps do, which is to consider the interests of all the different stakeholders in everything that they do in their decision-making process. And shareholders are one stakeholder, let's be clear. We know that the investment has to go into the business. So if that's our end goal, how do we have to do that? Well, if we're trying to do that at a pan-European level, we have to have a lot of member states to commit and to be interested in that. They have to have the data, the case made, the storytelling, the examples, the understanding of why this is so urgent, and they have to have a sense of the fiduciary duties that they're going to be imposing on business leaders and investors to do that. So really, this is what the coalition is setting out to do, is to create the framework in which we can then give everybody a calling card, so that when they're talking to their local or national politicians, policymakers, they have effectively, this site is their kind of go-to resource and calling card to share the case of why this is the future we need.
And I guess why this is collectively needed is on that point of, this is not something that we can voice or expect to have impact on our own, but it's rather something that we can voice bolder and louder together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of initiatives going on at different member state level, which are fantastic and are totally complementary, because in Italy, we already have a legal form that companies can adopt. In France, we have another legal form, Société à Mission, which is really similar. There's a lot of moves going on in Spain to introduce this. So this is happening at member state level, but what we don't have is a kind of overarching framework. But we have in the European Union overarching policy agenda, which is the EU Green Deal, which actually is massively ambitious. It shouldn't be impossible, but it is ambitious under the existing rules in which business operates. So if you want to make this continent completely carbon neutral by 2050, you have to change the way businesses operate. You can't reach that with a framework we have today. So once you have pan-European goals, then you have to have some pan-European frameworks, but member states and individual locals and national states can also hugely contribute to those discussions.
Yeah, changing the systems around the businesses, right? Not only asking businesses to change themselves and improve, but also creating the right incentives around them. Katie, maybe, as you know, we're at the climate taking collective action session, and we really want to be, through this interview and through B Corp Beauty Coalition, we want to be able to show real life examples to our B Corps to, how do some initiatives start? How do some of them get started and progress? So maybe on this, what are some of your learnings around, developing partnerships and, how to stay in this together? Because that's always a challenge in personal relationships, in business relationships. So maybe some key takeaways for you that you can advise to others who are listening.
Yeah, but just to say, I'm really learning as we go. And I think actually, as Marie-Charlotte also said, this is never finished. This kind of learning continues forever. I mean, I think it was opportunistic to start with. We saw an opportunity that arose because the EU put out a really expansive consultation. So we grabbed it. So first thing is to look out for opportunities that you see the wind might change if you take some action. If there isn't any opportunity, maybe you have to create it. The second one was then to have a really clear goal of what would be our dream, what's our kind of end aim, which is to change the rules of the game across the whole European Union. So what would be the kind of, working back from that, what would be the landmarks we would want to kind of hook onto? And so that provided us with the kind of shorter term goals that we all coalesced around. And then I think as actually a partnership, we found experts in this field, the Good Lobby, Wojciech Badziński. We found experts who could help us really navigate some of this, getting into the European Union corridors of power takes a whole mindset of its own, and especially in lockdown. So we really had some help with kind of navigation of that. But then also the legal aspects are quite technical. So we needed that support as well. So we created quite a small kind of hub of people who are working on it, and that actually has been quite important, that there's kind of collective sort of understanding of what each one is contributing to it. Now we're reaching out, now we've actually produced our kind of coalition, and the proposal from the EU is expected in the autumn. We're then going to go out to everybody who joins the coalition, and I think the way we will probably do this, and this is learning in process, will be to again create smaller hubs. How can each person, each member state find their own collective group to make sure that they lobby in a consistent way, and how can we bring those different groups together?
Well, given that today was the launch, and I'm sure you have a call to action to everyone who's listening in, maybe we also share what are some of the ways that they can, if they wish so, to be part of this coalition.
Yes, and one thing I wanted to just, this has been the biggest learning, is that it sounds quite simple to talk about every company should introduce stakeholder governance and management, but those of you who've been doing it might know that's actually pretty complicated, and it's very unformulaic. Everybody does it differently. So there's kind of 3 different things going on with our coalition. There's 6 different things you can get involved in, but there are 3 kind of big pictures. One is this policy lobbying for the change in the rules. The second is case studies, sharing expertise, learning from people what has actually happened in their companies, what's worked, what doesn't work, where do the tensions come from, how do you deal with them? And the third one then is to actually provide this kind of resource base for people to dig into and find things that help them think about how to bring that discussion forward in their own companies, or with their suppliers, or with their best friends, neighbors, whoever. So this is it's kind of 3 goals, but you can see here, we'd love you to register on the site, go onto the site, have a look, and if you can join our coalition, we would love that, because we can then bring you into the discussions as the Commission rolls forward with its plans. Share your experience. If you've got experience of what it means, please let us know. We've done these lovely series of coffees in good companies with just half-an-hour conversations with individual leaders of companies who are implementing this. Super informative. They're all available on the website for you to enjoy. But then we've also given you resources for you to start conversations and a way for you to actually be an advocate for this. And then if you haven't already and you're thinking of making this legal change yourself, the articles can be referenced there for you to make that change in your own company articles. And of course, you've got any number of B Corps around you who you can speak to get some advice and support in what that means.
Thank you so much, Katie, for sharing the story of the Interdependence Coalition and both a call to action to join this new coalition, which is so critical to create an impact on the policy agenda, and at the same time sharing your learning experiences throughout this so that others can also tap into those shortcut learnings. Thank you so much, Katie. I will move back to Daniel now.
2 minutes. In 2 minutes, we're going to give you, you thought you had everything you needed. We're going to give you even more. Just very, very quickly in 2 minutes. I think you're aware that we have this special Climate Collective page here. And there's 2 really things that you should highlight here. Click on the top, access the tools base. It's an amazing, and again, it's part of a coalition. It's an amazing tool that allows people to find, any of you to find out what are the best ways to measure the huge amount of options on the road to zero. Click here, you get a lot of insights, you can filter, choose, very powerful. But also, if you click here on climate justice and on the climate justice playbook, this is a guide created by companies for companies. Here you hear stories, language, ways to share this internally and externally. It's a really powerful tool which not only gives you insights, but also ways to actually get to where you want to get to. So this is one of the options that's open to you. Yet I think people may want to meet each other on the Beehive. So how could they maybe find that and actually meet each other if they did not catch that email or anything else? Because this is what the power of, as Marie-Charlotte said, amazing what happens when B people come together.
Yeah. So Daniel, our community, our B Corp community has a special connection place called Beehive, right? So that's really the place where we hope that everyone is going to continue this conversation that we started on Marketplace, but also coalition building through the Beehive. Do you want to create your own cluster and create your own group page to discuss how to start, how to meet, how to organize yourselves? That's a readily available tool. We really ask you to find your way to Beehive and start clustering yourselves over there so that we can really prove that we're going towards collective action.
Fantastic. There's one last one, which is the B Corp Way. So the B Corp Way is another great way where you can find a number of companies that have been selected, bcorpway.net, a number of companies, B Corps that have been selected by B-Lab to be representative and of service to you. So in case all the needs that you dreamt of are not present in that magic Elena Birgusova created Google template, in the B Corp Way, you find a number of experts that can really help you move forward. I could not highlight this enough. We are here to serve you, to make sure this race to zero really happens, and that you're not alone, that you're the roses of B-Lab, of B Corps, really forward with you. So that's really the key element we want to share with you. And obviously, maybe a last word from you about what do you have now? You know, we talked about interdependence, collaboration. So the question, and Elena will share now the link to the Mentimeter. Of course there's a Mentimeter. Did you doubt there would be a Mentimeter? There's always a Mentimeter at the end of any of these sessions. And the question here is, what's the most useful element of collaboration for you now on the road to zero? Collaboration, independence is fundamental. What part of that collaboration works for you best now? What is your best tool on the road to zero? Very curious to hear what you write here. Let's see the most useful element, the most useful tool of collaboration that you're at your disposal now to make sure you get to zero. Ah, suspense. I see green leaves behind us. I imagine it's all in your minds. No worries. We will, in any case, make sure we continue the conversation together. And what we want to make sure, first and foremost, that you feel accompanied. And it's been an absolute pleasure for Elena to represent all the work, Joanne to get us moving and shaking so that we're really moving forward. Thank you so much, Katie, for this and much, much more that you're doing. Marie-Charlotte for making everything happen. And most importantly, the B-Lab Europe climate activist, Yelits. Woo! Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was the end of the European Day, the European program of the B Corp Climate Summit. We wanted to really make it a half party, half action, and half coming together. We wish that we would have drinks now, but we will assume so that you're celebrating the day with a drink at the end of the day. We will sure do so with our team over here, and see you in other meetings.